Outside Africa, Australia is grappling with shock and grief after the country's deadliest mass shooting in nearly 3 decades. 15 people were killed during a Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach, and police now say the suspects spent months preparing the attack. As the nation pauses to remember the victims, the Prime Minister is promising sweeping new laws to tackle extremism and gun violence. Senior International Correspondent Afua Hagan here has the latest.
Australia is confronting the aftermath of its deadliest mass shooting in nearly 30 years, as new details emerge about the alleged attackers behind the Bondi Beach massacre. Police say the 2 suspects, a father and son, carried out tactical firearms training in rural New South Wales and spent months meticulously planning the assault that left 15 people dead during a Hanukkah event last Sunday. Investigators have released images showing the pair firing shotguns and moving in what they describe as a tactical manner. They also say the men recorded an October video referencing their motivations while seated in front of an Islamic State flag and conducted a nighttime reconnaissance trip to Bondi Beach just days before the killings. During the attack, the suspects threw explosives at onlookers, though none detonated. 1 week on, Australia held a national minute's silence, and at Bondi Beach, visitors paused at a growing memorial, flowers and handwritten messages lining walls as the community slowly returns to normal. Under mounting pressure, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has vowed tougher action, apologising to Australia's Jewish community and promising new laws targeting hate preaching and extremism. He says the government will work to ensure Jewish Australians can live, worship and participate in society safely and openly. Canberra is now preparing major reforms, including a nationwide gun buyback, the largest since 1996, and tighter hate speech rules. New South Wales has recalled its parliament to fast-track what it calls the country's toughest firearm laws, introducing caps on gun ownership and banning the display of terrorist symbols such as the Islamic State flag. Authorities say there are more than 1.1 million firearms in the state, and stronger controls are needed to prevent further attacks. Police confirm 50-year-old Sajid Akram was shot dead during the incident, whilst his 24-year-old son Naveed has now been moved from hospital to a correctional facility. State officials are also considering further restrictions on extremist language at public rallies, as Australia confronts how this attack unfolded and how to stop anything like it from happening again. For News Central, I'm Afua Hagan.
Now for more on this, I'm joined by our senior international correspondent and anchor, Afua Hagan. Afua, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. So police say this attack was months in the making. What more are investigators learning about the suspects and the planning motivations?
Well, there was actually a suppression on the details of this attack to protect the identity of some of the victims, but that was lifted today, which is why we are now finding out these details. And yes, you're absolutely right. It seems that this father and son duo spent several months preparing this attack, and they prepared it in extraordinary detail. We know that they travelled to the Philippines and back. Potentially they wanted to meet with members of IS in the Philippines. There's a video that was taken on one of their mobile phones in October, and it shows the men sitting in front of an image of the IS flag. They're heard making statements about their motivations for this particular attack, in which they condemn the act of Zionists. It's also known that the pair conducted a reconnaissance mission to Bondi Beach. In the days before the shooting, they made those homemade explosives that they threw at the scene, but none of them detonated. And this takes us to the conclusion, draws the conclusion that this was a premeditated, ideologically driven attack inspired by extremist IS propaganda that was meticulously planned.
So, Afua, we've heard the Prime Minister apologize to the Jewish community. How significant is that? And how's the community responding?
I mean, it's hugely significant that the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, has apologised in this fashion. It's a personal apology to Australia's Jewish community after this, extremist violence. Lots of members of the Jewish community are still very, very angry, of course, very distraught. This absolutely horrific anti-Semitic attack. Some are welcoming the apology. Some are calling for swifter action to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again, that this apology should be followed up by action. And we know that he is pushing for stricter gun laws and laws against terrorism, hate speech, extremist violence. So let's hope he follows through with that apology, with the actions that the Jewish community are seeking.
Well, let's hope he does follow through with these actions. Afua, this is as much as we can take on that. We'll be coming back to you subsequently across our subsequent bulletins. Thank you very much, Afua.